Listen up, because the next 24 hours could completely flip the script for this franchise. We just activated a linebacker who knows the ins and outs of our biggest rivals. Right before the most important game of the year, Johnson dropped some explosive comments about the star we're facing this Sunday, revealing psychological edges nobody else has, and according to league sources, one of the best defensive ends in the NFL might be on the trade block and landing. Him would instantly make us Super Bowl favorites if you bounce now. You're gonna miss info. Nitrogen monoxide other channel is connecting like this. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe and stick around, this is urgent. The Bears just promoted Ty Summers from the practice squad to the active roster for Sunday's must-win game against Detroit. And I already know what you're thinking. Who the hell is Ty Summers? And why should I care about a 30-year-old linebacker off the practice squad? Let me break down why this move is genius and shows Ryan Poles is playing for DHS. While the rest of the league is stuck on checkers, Ty Summers isn't just some random dude. This guy's resume reads like a tour of the NFC North. Drafted by the Packers in the 7th round back in 2019 out of TCU. Signed a rookie deal worth $2.6 million with Green Bay. And that's where his journey through the division began. The Packers cut him, the Jaguars picked him up, then cut him too. He landed on Jacksonville's practice squad, then the Saints grabbed him in 2022. And he bounced on and off their roster in 2024. He signed with the Lions for training camp but didn't make the final cut. He went to the Giants practice squad, came back to New York in 2024, returned to Detroit, and finally, we added him to our practice squad mid-season. See the pattern? This guy's been everywhere, but it's not just that he's been around, it's where he's been that matters. Packers, Lions, TWICE, and Detroit. This man knows the playbooks of our biggest division rivals like the back of his hand. Now think about the timing. We're about to face Detroit in a game that could lock in our playoff seeding if we win and grab the 2 seed. Who might we face in the wild card? The Packers at Soldier Field. Ty Summers has inside info on both teams. I'm telling you, Ryan Poles doesn't make random moves. Every decision is calculated. Bringing in Summers right now, that's military-grade strategy applied to football. Let's be real about expectations. In 5 games with the Lions this season, Summers recorded just 1 tackle in 5 games. That's not Pro Bowl material. Not even starter numbers. But here's what most analysts miss. We didn't bring him in to be Brian Urlacher. We didn't bring him in to be Roquan Smith. We brought him in to be a brain on the field. Let me ask you, what's it worth to have someone who can tell our defense exactly what offensive concepts the Lions run on 3rd and short? What's it worth to know what audibles Jared Goff uses when he sees a certain defensive look? What's it worth to know the Packers' red zone tendencies? I'd say that's worth way more than 1 tackle per game. Summers will mostly play special teams and serve as linebacker depth, but his real value is in the film room and walkthroughs, in being able to tell Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards exactly what to expect from Detroit and Green Bay's offenses. And here's what's got me really hyped. Ben Johnson worked with Summers when he was the offensive coordinator in Detroit. Johnson knows exactly what this guy can do and how to use him. This isn't just some random practice squad pickup. This is a strategic piece handpicked by a head coach who knows his strengths. Think about the mindset this shows. 5 years ago, the Bears weren't making moves like this. We were making desperate grabs, overpaying aging vets, chasing big names instead of smart fits. But now, we've got a front office thinking ahead. Remember when the Bears were the team other teams exploited with insider info? How many times did we get torched by ex-Bears who knew our system? Now we're the ones using that edge. That's organizational evolution. Also, along with Summers, we elevated tight end Nikola Kalinick to guys adding depth at positions where we've had injuries and rotation issues. This isn't just about one game. It's about having the right pieces for a playoff run. This move says a lot about Ryan Poles' philosophy. He's not swinging for the fences on every decision. He's stacking small advantages that add up to something big. That's the Belichick mindset. That's what winning organizations do. And the wildest part, probably nobody outside of Chicago is even talking about this move. National media's focused on stars, big contracts, flashy names. But here in Chicago, we know championships are won in the details, with moves like this that seem small but have massive strategic impact. If that last story got your gears turning, wait till you hear what Ben Johnson just said about Amon-Ra St. Brown, because this is straight fire. Our head coach just dropped some comments that are making waves across the league and revealed way more than they seem on the surface. Johnson literally said St. Brown probably tops the list of the best players he's ever worked with. Read that again. The offensive coordinator, who created one of the most dominant receivers in the NFL, just admitted publicly that this guy is special. And now we have to face him this Sunday in a game that decides our playoff position. Let me give you the full context. Johnson worked with St. Brown from the moment he entered the league in 2021 as a fourth-round pick. Back then, nobody thought St. Brown would be a star. Fourth round. Analysts saw him as a decent slot guy, nothing more, but Johnson saw something different. Over for years in Detroit, Johnson was the offensive architect who turned St. Brown from a mid-round prospect into an all-pro. He designed the concepts that maximize his strengths, built route trees that made him unguardable, created an entire offensive system around what St. Brown does best. And now Johnson broke down exactly what makes St. Brown special: strong, fast, fantastic hands, one of the best work ethics I've ever seen, extremely tough, willing to do whatever it takes for the team, and a massive competitor. Every one of those words matters. Let's break it down. Strong. St. Brown plays like a running back, breaks tackles after the catch, fights for extra yards, can beat press coverage with raw power. Fast, not Tyreek Hill fast, but elite quickness in tight spaces. His first 3 steps are deadly. Fantastic hands. Since entering the league, he's had one of the highest catch rates in the NFL, catches everything. On third down, he's automatic. Work ethic. Johnson made a point of this. St. Brown is the first in, last out, studies film like a coach, knows defense is better than some linebackers. TOUGH, plays through injuries, plays in tough spots, doesn't complain, just produces. Team first, blocks like a tight end, runs decoy routes, does the dirty work that doesn't show up in the box score. Competitor, hates losing more than he loves winning. That mindset lifts the whole team. Now let's look at the numbers. Since 2021, St. Brown has caught 536 passes for 6,113 yards and 4 touchdowns in 82 games. That's an average of 6.5 catches, 7 to 4.5 yards, and over half a touchdown per game every season for straight years. That kind of consistency is insane. We're not talking about one breakout year. We're talking about elite production year after year, and all of it happened under Ben Johnson. But here's what's really got me thinking. Why would Johnson say this now? Why praise a guy we're about to face in 48 hours? I'll tell you, Johnson is playing psychological chess. Think about what this does. First, it shows genuine respect. Johnson's not the type to trash talk. That builds credibility. Second, it sends a message to our defense. This guy is legit. We need a perfect game plan. Third, and this is the sneaky part, it puts pressure on St. Brown and the Lions. When your former coach goes public saying you're the best he's ever worked with, that creates expectations. The Lions are 8-8, out of the playoffs. Maybe not super motivated, but now St. Brown has to prove he deserves that praise against his old coach's new team. That's subtle psychological pressure. And here's the real edge. Johnson knows St. Brown better than anyone in football. He knows his favorite routes, knows when he's most dangerous, knows what defensive looks frustrate him, knows his third down and red zone tendencies. You think Johnson isn't sharing all that with Matt Eberflus and our defense? You think he's not designing a game plan specifically to shut down the monster he helped create? I think these public comments are just the tip of the iceberg. Behind closed doors, Johnson is giving our defense a masterclass on how to stop St. Brown. He's revealing secrets only a former coach would know. Let's be real, St. Brown is legit. Doesn't matter how much you know about him, you still have to execute. It's going to take perfect discipline from our corners. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, they've got to be flawless. St. Brown eats up short and intermediate routes, slants, outs, comebacks. He's deadly on third and medium. He's Goff's go-to guy. Our defense has to be physical at the line, has to play tight, has to give him zero space. And here's what worries me. St. Brown is exactly the kind of receiver that's torched the Bears for years. Physical, reliable hands, timing route specialist. Remember Davante Adams with the Packers, Adam Thielen with the Vikings. Those guys killed us every year, but for the first time in years, we've got a head coach who knows our most dangerous opponent inside and out. That's an edge we can't waste. Let me ask you, do you believe our defense can hold St. Brown under 75 yards? I think yes, but only if we execute Johnson's plan to perfection. One blown coverage, one missed press, and that guy could go off for 120 and to scores. This game is a test for Johnson as a head coach. He can draw up the best plan in the world, but the players have to execute, and if they do, if we really shut down St. Brown, that sends a massive message to the rest of the league. The Bears have a coach who can neutralize stars. But everything we've talked about so far, it's nothing compared to what I just found out, because this news could completely reshape the future of the franchise, according to Diana Rossini from The Athletic, one of the most plugged-in reporters in the NFL. Sources around the league now believe the Raiders are open to trading Max Crosby during the 2026 offseason. Let me say that again so it's crystal clear. Max Crosby, two-time All-Pro, five-time Pro Bowler, one of the most dominant pass rushers in the entire league, might be available. And if Ryan Poles isn't on the phone with the Raiders right now, I don't know what we're doing. First, let me explain exactly who Max Crosby is and why we should be obsessed with bringing him to Chicago. Crosby is 28 years old. He's in his absolute prime. We're not talking about a vet on the decline looking for one last payday. We're talking about a guy playing the best football of his life, someone who could anchor our defensive line for the next 5 or 6 years. He was drafted by the Raiders in the 4th round back in 2019. 4th round, the same analysts who missed on Amon-Ra St. Brown missed on Crosby too from his rookie year. He's been a straight-up 4-star in 2023. He was named All-Pro for the 2nd time. He's made 5 straight Pro Bowls over the last 4 seasons. He's averaged more than 10 sacks per year, but sacks don't tell the whole story. Crosby brings pressure on every snap. His win rate against defensive tackles is consistently top 5 in the league. And here's why he's perfect for Chicago. He plays with that monsters of the midway mentality. Physical, relentless, every snap is a war. He hates losing more than he loves winning. That's exactly the kind of mindset we want on our defense. Now let's talk about why he might be available, because the situation in Vegas is a complete mess. The Raiders shut Crosby down for the final 2 weeks of the season even though he wanted to play. Read that again. An All-Pro player wanted to play, and the team said no. That doesn't happen in a healthy organization. That happens when there's serious tension between a player and the front office. Reports say Crosby was furious. He left the team facility after they told him he was going on injured reserve. Then, in what was clearly a shot at the front office, he posted a video on Instagram playing basketball. You get the message? The Raiders said he needed surgery, said he was hurt. And Crosby responds by posting a video doing intense physical activity. That's a public statement that the organization is lying about his condition. The relationship is broken, completely fractured. And when a star player and his team hit that point, there's only one outcome, a trade. Now let's talk about why. The Bears need to make this move. Our biggest weakness this season has been the lack of consistent pressure on the quarterback. Montez Sweat has been solid, but he can't do it alone. Austin Booker is developing, but he's still a rookie. We need another elite edge rusher who can bring heat from the opposite side. Remember that game against San Francisco in Week 17? Brock Purdy had all day to throw. He lit us up for 38 points. Deep balls, short throws, whatever he wanted. Why? Because we couldn't pressure him consistently. Let me ask you, do you think that happens if Max Crosby is on our D-line? I'll tell you right now, absolutely not. Crosby would have collapsed that pocket, forced Purdy into quick decisions, changed the entire flow of that game. Now picture this: Montez Sweat on one side, Max Crosby on the other, Austin Booker rotating in. Suddenly, NFC North quarterbacks have nowhere to hide. Jared Goff, who carved US up this year, would be under fire from both edges. Can't roll left, Crosby's there. Can't roll right, Sweat's waiting. That's relentless pressure that breaks pockets and forces turnovers. Jordan Love in Green Bay, who already struggles under pressure, would be seeing ghosts. Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, if we faced them in the playoffs, he wouldn't stand a chance. Our D-line would instantly become one of the best in the NFC. But it's not just about Crosby's individual production. It's how he elevates everyone around him. Sweat would get more favorable one-on-one matchups because OCs would have to double Crosby. Booker could grow without the pressure of being the guy. Our defensive tackles would have more room to operate because the O-line would be stretched thin on the edges. And our secondary, which is already solid with Jalen Johnson, would benefit too. Quarterbacks would have to get the ball out faster. That means more picks, more deflections, more chaos. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the cost. Rossini's article suggests it would likely take multiple first and second round picks and maybe even a player. That's a lot. We're talking maybe the first, a second, and a young player. I know some fans are gonna say, that's too much, not worth giving up all that draft capital. But let me ask you this, what's a Super Bowl worth? Because I believe bringing in Max Crosby makes us instant contenders, not in 3 years. Not when Caleb fully develops. Right now, in 2026, think about where we are. We've got a rookie QB who's already showing flashes. We've got a head coach in Ben Johnson who's one of the top offensive minds in the league. We've got weapons DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Romo Duns. We've got a top 10 defense. The only thing we're missing is elite pass rush. That's the final piece, and Crosby is that piece. Let me ask you, how many times in this franchise's history have we had a shot at a player of this caliber in his prime? I'll tell you, almost never. When the Bears have made big trades, it's usually been for guys already past their peak or with red flags. Khalil Mack was a beast, but he was already 27 and came with a monster contract. Jay Cutler had turnover issues. Brandon Marshall had locker room drama. But Crosby, he's different. 28, in his prime, no major injury history, no locker room issues. Just beef with a dysfunctional front office in Vegas. That's something we can fix by bringing him into a stable, focused organization like ours. And here's what really excites me. Ryan Poles has shown he's not afraid to make bold moves. He traded for DJ Moore and gave him a big extension. Drafted Caleb Williams #1 overall without blinking. Hired Ben Johnson and paid him like a top-tier head coach. Poles is building something big and he's not scared to pay the price. Now imagine the message we send by landing Crosby. We tell Caleb Williams, we're all in on winning now. We tell the league, the Bears are for real. We tell our defense, we've got the firepower to take on anybody, and think about the cultural impact. Crosby is known for his insane work ethic, trains like a maniac, studies film nonstop, lives and breathes football. That kind of mindset is contagious in a locker room. Young guys like Booker, our D tackles, the whole defense, they'd see what it takes to be an all-pro. He'd raise the standard for the entire unit. Let's be real about the challenges. The Raiders will want a steep price. Other teams will be interested. The Commanders need pass rush. The Falcons need pass rush. The Titans need pass rush. There's gonna be competition. But we've got advantages. We can offer more draft capital than most. We're in a win-now window. We've got an attractive head coach. Chicago's a big market. There are reasons Crosby would want to come here. And here's my final argument. If we don't make this move, what's the backup plan? Draft an edge rusher in the first round. That's a gamble. Edge prospects are notoriously hard to project. For every Micah Parsons, there are 3 busts. Sign someone in free agency. Who's out there that's better than Crosby? Nobody. Elite pass rushers never hit the open market. Count on Booker to make the leap. That's a lot to ask from a second-year guy. The truth is, opportunities like this don't come around often. When a player like Max Crosby is available, you go get him. You be aggressive. You pay the price. I believe Ryan Poles gets that. I believe he's already making calls. I believe this trade is going to happen. And when it does, it's going to completely change the direction of this franchise. All right. We just broke down 3 massive stories that are going to shape not only this Sunday's game against Detroit, but the entire future of the Chicago Bears. First, the strategic elevation of Ty Summers, a move that might look small on the surface, but shows this front office is thinking 3 steps ahead. Do you think having someone who knows the Packers and Lions playbooks gives us a real edge in the playoffs? Or do you think it's just a depth move with no real impact? Drop a comment and let me know if you trust Poles' tactical mindset. Second, Ben Johnson's explosive comments about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Our head coach just laid out exactly what makes one of the league's best receivers so dangerous, and now we've got to stop him in 48 hours. Do you believe Johnson can design a game plan to shut down the very player he helped turn into a star? Or do you think St. Brown is going to torch us anyway? Let me know in the comments if you think our defense is ready for this test. And third, the Max Crosby bombshell. The very real possibility of bringing in an all-pro pass rusher who could make us instant Super Bowl contenders. Here's the million-dollar question. Would you give up the first-round picks and more for a player who can take us to the championship now? Or would you rather stay patient and build through the draft? This one's going to split the fan base, and I want to know where you stand. But here's what I really want you to take away from all this. These 3 stories are connected. They all point to the same thing. This organization has completely flipped its mindset. We're no longer the reactive team making desperate moves. We're a team that thinks strategically, makes calculated decisions, and is building something special. And I want every one of you to be part of this journey, because I guarantee you tomorrow, we're going to have even more breaking news. The off-season is just getting started. Polls is just getting warmed up. And you do not want to miss what's coming if you haven't subscribed to this channel. Yet what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because we're a family here. A community of Bears fans who live and breathe Navy and Orange every single day. We're not like those generic channels that cover all 32 teams on the surface. We ONLY cover the Bears, deep analysis, exclusive news, the truth about this team we all love. And I want you to be part of this growing community. Smash that like button if you think we should go all in for Max Crosby. Drop a comment telling me which of these 3 stories has you the most fired up, and share this video with every Bears fan you know, because they need to see this. We're standing at the edge of something historic in Chicago. After decades of mediocrity, we finally have an organization that understands what it takes to win. And I'll be here every single day bringing you every detail, every breakdown, every piece of news you need to know. Bear down, Chicago. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, this is just the beginning.